People of God, you are watching.
Well, hello and welcome to the African News and Voice of the People Television. I am David Edwin. Before we begin the news, we would urge you to kindly visit our website, www.vop.ng, for fresh and trending stories. We begin the African News from Uganda, where Uganda's Army Chief, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has accused the United States of secretly negotiating with Somalia-based jihadist group Al-Shabaab. He described Al-Shabaab as a persistent threat to peace and stability in the Horn of Africa. Kainerugaba, in a message on social media, questioned the logic of Uganda continuing its 18-year military involvement in Somalia, while Washington engages in backdoor talks with the same militant group linked to Al-Qaeda. However, he did not provide any evidence to support his claim, and neither the U.S. government nor Al-Shabaab has responded publicly to the claims. The army chief further regretted that Uganda has lost many soldiers in the efforts to restore peace to Somalia. Uganda remains a key contributor to the African Union mission in Somalia, which is now restructured as the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, launched in 2007 to combat Al-Shabaab and stabilize the country. Also, the U.S. maintains a military presence in Somalia, including hundreds of troops who conducted airstrikes targeting Al-Shabaab leaders. Still in Uganda, in another development, Uganda has reopened its border points with the Democratic Republic of Congo at Bunagana and Mupaka after 4 years of closure. The border was closed in June 2022 due to the M23 rebels' activities in the DRC after the Kisoro District Security Committee resolved to close the Uganda-DRC borders point. A team of Kisoro District officials, led by Kisoro Resident District Commissioner Badru Sebiara, met with DRC officials, led by Desire Kanyemarere, to officially reopen the border. During the reopening, Sebiara applauded President Museveni, stressing that the reopening would boost border trade between the two countries. He noted that businesses had counted losses for a long period of time. According to the leaders, border closure has greatly affected the people, with some of them selling off their properties. Nevertheless, they called on the business sector to quickly resume business operations along the borderline. Moving on, the South African government has said President Cyril Ramaphosa will address the nation on Sunday night on the allegation of corruption made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Ntalela Mwazi. Mwazi made corruption allegations against senior police officials and the Minister of Police, Zenzo Mchunu. President spokesperson Vincent Magwenya said Ramaphosa has held consultation on the matter and will address the nation this weekend. He explained that Ramaphosa was attending the BRICS summit in Brazil when Mwazi outlined numerous allegations at a media briefing, but will attend to the matter in view of the implications for national security. This comes as KwaZulu-Natal Premier Thami Ntuli has also called on Ramaphosa to prioritize the issue of political killings and investigate Mwazi's allegations. Ntuli spoke while addressing the media during a raid at two major shops alleged to be hiring undocumented immigrants in Umbilo in Durban. Mwazi was scheduled to be part of the raid, was said to be out of the province for a meeting. It would have been Mwazi's first public appearance after his bombshell accusation of Mchunu and top officials of meddling with syndicates. From South Africa, we'll move straight to Kenya, where President William Ruto has approved a new chairperson and commissioners to head the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, filling positions for critical influence in a country with a long history of contentious polls. The East African nation's next general election will be in 2027, but Ruto is already under pressure from street protests led by young Kenyans dissatisfied with high living costs, corruption, and police brutality. According to the notice issued late Thursday, the new chairman and 6 commissioners appointed to the Electoral Commission would be sworn in on Friday and serve for the next 4 years. Ruto suspended 4 election commissioners in December 2022 after they rejected his victory in elections held earlier that year. The dispute proceeded to the Supreme Court, which upheld Ruto's win and rejected the commissioner's argument that the vote tallying process had been opaque. The commission had been operating without a chairperson or commissioners since 2023, when the terms of the former chairman and the 2 remaining commissioners expired. Well, still in Kenya, the leader of Democracy for the Citizens Party, Rigathi Gachagua, has threatened to refer Kenya's President William Ruto to the International Criminal Court over his recent comments regarding deadly anti-government protests. Gachagua, who was Ruto's former deputy, accused him of lacking feelings and humanity, stating on X that they would report the president but the ICC rather than the Kenyan police. Gachagua's statements came after Ruto ordered police to shoot protesters targeting businesses in the leg and ensuring they are incapacitated but not killed. Deploring the statement, however, Gachagua said the president had even gone further to add insults to injury by directing the police to shoot innocent Kenyans in the legs. Also, Gachagua, who addressed newsmen in Nairobi, dismissed Ruto's accusation of political rivals attempting to overthrow his government. And from Kenya to Zimbabwe, where human rights body Transparency International Zimbabwe has called for urgent reforms in the country, warning that corruption was eroding human dignity and silencing citizens who speak out against it. TZI spoke during the 2025 Africa Anti-Corruption Day under the theme, Promoting Human Dignity in the Fight Against Corruption. It noted that the real cost of corruption goes beyond monetary terms to include human suffering, inequality, and the collapse of public trust. In a statement, TIZ said the effects of corruption in the country are particularly devastating for ordinary people who were often denied access to basic services, economic opportunities, and justice. According to the human rights body, corruption is not a victimless crime, but directly erodes the dignity of individuals and communities. It added that inadequate investigations, delayed justice, and the absence of accountability for powerful individuals create a dangerous environment of fear, hopelessness, and impunity. Tees further noted that the continued failure to prosecute high-profile corruption cases and the lack of whistleblower protection laws as critical weaknesses in the country's governance framework. Moving on, no fewer than 700 households have been forced to flee North Kordofan state in southern Sudan in the fighting between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. The International Organization for Migration has said this. According to the IMO, 700 households were displaced from several locations across Bara town in Bara locality, North Kordofan, due to heightened insecurity. It added that the situation remains tense and highly fluid. Sudanese forces are seeking to recapture Bara, a main stronghold of the RSF in North Kordofan, and violent clashes have erupted between the two sides in recent days. Bara's importance lies in its strategic location linking the Kordofan in southern Sudan and Darfur in western Sudan to the capital Khartoum via a national road leading to Omdurman west of Khartoum. The war has killed over 20,000 persons since mid-April 2023 and displaced about 14 million according to the UN and local authorities. However, research from United States universities estimates the death toll at about 130,000. In another development, the UN High Commission for Refugees has expressed serious concerns over a legislative amendment submitted for vote in the Greek parliament that would halt asylum applications. According to the UNHCR, the amendment suspends for 3 months the submission of asylum applications from those arriving by boat from North Africa and provides for their return without registration to their asylum applications. It's added that the right to seek asylum is a fundamental human right enshrined in international, European, and national laws and applies to everyone regardless of how or where they arrive in a country. The agency further warned that returning people to a place where they would face threats to life or freedom would breach the principle of non-refoulement. It added that states deviate from these important principles of international law. Though the UNHCR acknowledged the pressure created by recent arrivals in Uganda'S and Crete, it stressed that controlling a state's border must be in line with international and European laws. Well, joining us now to make sense of these stories and more on the analysis segment is Dr. Peter Anosike, who is Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and an economist by profession. Also joining us all the way from Uganda virtually is Barrister Edward Omatakinye. Barrister Edward is a lawyer, business associate, and of course a human rights lawyer. And also joining us all the way from Kenya, virtually as well, is Mr. Martins Irere Njoy. Mr. Martins is a public affairs analyst and of course a financial advisor and chief executive officer of Wealthgate Insurance Agency. Gentlemen, a very, very good afternoon to you. Good afternoon,
for having me, yeah.
All right, good afternoon, Barrister, and good afternoon, Mr. Martins. I would love you to unmute.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, very well, thank you. How are you doing as well, Barrister? All right, let me start off from...
We are doing well. We are doing well this side. So
doing well.
Yeah. All right. Let me start off from the studio here. Doctor, interestingly, the conversation surrounding asylum seekers within the North African region is a major conversation. And of course, in a development by the UN High Commission for Refugees, they've expressed serious concerns about the fact that the legislative amendment submitted for vote in the Greek parliament that would have to halt asylum applications is in the front burner. Looking at the fact that people seek asylum and for some reasons, there is a conversation that they would have to return them to the country where they have practically said that their life is not safe going back. What do you make of these particular conversation coming from the UN High Commission?
Well, asylum is not a fun seeking. It is not tourism. It is somebody running because his life is not safe where
he is
in his country.
Right.
So somebody is a matter of can't help. I'm not safe in my country. I need to live here. If not, I will die.
Okay.
Understand? So that shows the instability, bad governance in most of African countries. So, when somebody is seeking for, even though some people are now abusing it,
Right.
Some people are now using it as a
A means of escape away from the country.
get away from their country. But those that are even abusing it, they're not doing that out of happiness. It's because their country, there's no enabling environment for them to scale or to succeed in their countries. Understand me?
Okay.
So if their countries have an enabling environment, this thing wouldn't be happening. The other day, I told you that slave trade has not ended.
Right.
Slave trade is still ongoing, but in a different form. So when Western countries come to Africa and sow crisis, understand, sow a division, sow insecurity, people will now be forced to run abroad, understand, and to do menial jobs for them. That's the jobs that their people cannot do. Like washing dead bodies and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So this is asylum is partly caused by bad governance in Africa and Western world.
Okay. I think that's a place to, get your submission. Let's go straight to Uganda. And Barrister Edward, I'm coming to you on this one. You are a lawyer in Uganda. And there are also conversations, of course, that I would have to bring you in, particularly about your country. But let's just stay on this particular topic. The importance of the principle of international law is at the front burner here. According to the UN High Commission, they have said that seeking asylum is a fundamental right of an individual. But of course, just like the doctor mentioned here, some persons across Africa are abusing this. But they are not abusing it from the position of happiness or joy. That, of course, according to him, is as a result of bad governance within their countries, which is the reason why they are practically seeking for asylum. What's your opinion about the fact that there is a call for a suspension of application for asylum seekers across the UN and across the EU, I beg your pardon?
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. I mean, my host today. Just as the guest at the studio is actually putting it right, there's bad governance when it comes to issues of human rights. Actually, all that is human rights. I want to tell you for sure, in Africa, I think we have proven not to respect the law of actually the laws which are governing the human rights in our nations. So when you get the Western world is actually now doing this, there's also an abuse from us. And these people are very strict when it comes like any support we get from them. So that will not be it's not actually a surprise to me such actions be taken. It is all generated because of the kind of leadership we have in Africa. So I would actually say it is bad leadership, and it is a moral of Africans who are not ready to change. Yes.
All right, well, let's go to Kenya from here on. Mr. Martins, interestingly, this is a conversation that, of course, a lot of Africans want to get into and, of course, understand why at this point the EU and, of course, the UN High Commission is, having this conversation of suspending the asylum seekers application for 3 months. Yes, almost everybody here is saying that it's been abused by some Africans, but looking at the fact that this is a law, more like a law, on the part of the UN and, of course, EU, what is your opinion, basically, of these conversations?
Thank you, Edwin. From my understanding, what UN is doing is very right, because in Africa, we are ignorance in the rule of law, human rights, and security. Another thing is capturing of institutions, which is happening across Africa. whereby the governing regimes are not respecting the rule of law. An order is given from the court. The court order is not respected or adhered to. Secondly, when we are dealing with matters of human rights, it is very critical, more even than the politics we are playing around it. So this is happening because of the politics, or rather poor governance and the political class that are steering these policies. And you find if you are not adhering to the policies, the United Nations will not respect your request, or they will definitely decline your request. So when in an area we are dealing with the humanity or human rights, it's a matter of critical and urgency. And when once, twice you ignore them, it means that you are not in the standard of international law. So that is my take on that issue.
All right. Now, well, I'm still going to stay with you, Mr. Martins. I want to find out what is the present situation as concerning the order by the president of your country, Kenya, to the police to shoot any demonstrator who wants to go destroy properties, particularly the businesses of others in the country. What, again, well, we understand that he's deputy. I'm talking about, I'm trying to get his name now. What's his name now? Rigathi Gachagua. He said that at this point, there is a possibility of taking President William Ruto to the International Court. First off, what's the body language of the president talking about his order to the police? I mean, he's not giving the order. 14 persons are dead already from the last demonstration. What is the situation right now in Kenya?
The current situation here, I can say the people in the industry are running on well, but politically, we are in what we call perilous state of, or rather, we are in a perilous state of economy, not economy, politics. And when we see an order from president and the people that are seconding him in the government, stating that suit to kill is the way to handle the situation, or to handle the arrangements of the people or the request of the people. That is the area whereby you can see the opposition are taking it firm to take the president to the ICC, because he is not addressing the giant on the room. He is adding salt to the injury, whereby saying you shoot to kill or shoot
at the leg.
Yes, shoot at the leg. It means that we're gonna end up with a country where we have lame people, and that is denial to human rights. Because once a human right is denied, it shows that democracy is not respected. Right. That is the state of capturing the institution that should give pundit or the way on the rule of law. Because once a criminal is arrested by a police, it is the court of law to announce if that person is guilty or he should face the consequence as what is underlined by the Constitution.
All right.
So I want to say that the declaration from the president, he has that is drum of war he is beating, and this will not end up in the right trajectory. Because right now you have to address the grievances of the people. You should call them dialogue so that the people can come together and respect the rule of law, and knowing that the president is showing them the right at the end of the tunnel. But right now, it is posing threat and dictatorship in a system of democracy. This is gonna make the country not be respected in the global arena.
All right. Well, let me move from here on, and of course, go back to Barrister Edward. This, according to some quarters, is a major clampdown on the human rights of humans and persons in Kenya, where, of course, there's a major clampdown on peaceful demonstration. And from the results that are circulating across the media, about 10, 14 persons have died as a result of these police brutality against the people who are protesting. Hundreds have been arrested. From your perspective, what do you think would have warranted the president, who already has major intel, as against what the people are clamoring for? The president did declare, so the police shoot at the leg of anybody who wants to go destroy businesses and, of course, stop businesses from going on in the country. This directive has not been given at all before 14 persons were allegedly have been declared killed, according to even the police report, because it might even be bigger than that figure. But then, let's look at the statement of the police, and of course the statement by the opposition leader, I'm talking about Gachagua, who has said, look, we're going to take this man to the international court. What do you make of all of this, basically?
Thank you. And I thank my brother, Martin, who's my neighbor. One, I want actually condemn the actions of any leader who takes such action, like the wordings of the president, a head of a state. Head of a state should always desist from such pronouncements, including his ministers. Because at the first place, I want you to note that the Constitution of Kenya actually grants the Kenyan population and Kenyan people a right to actually withdraw what we call whatever they have donated to the leaders. At this point, you get that the president is acting in at his own capacity, not the capacity of people, because I believe the support, the majority, has totally shifted away from his hands, right, looking at the time of the vote, 2022. I believe so. When he came to power, he was actually holding a majority. But right now, even including, I believe, in the parliament, you get that most of the people who actually supported the president have shifted their allegiance to now opposition, which is unfortunate. So that alone, I can only inform you the reason why the president is issuing such statements. It is an indication of a failing government, a government which is already not needed in place, a government which has failed to sustain the needs of its people, a government which cannot actually reason with its own citizens. So I believe it is very wrong, and it should not be accepted even at the human rights higher levels, because Gachagua issuing such threats to sue the president, he is coming from the right position. He was in government. He was only impeached because of probably not supporting the president. But in actual sense, whatever he's saying, he's actually informing the president, please, if you go that direction, you're already going to the wrong place, and you will be taken back to ICC. Remember, right, the same person, the same president here, is still having cases waiting for him because he was once at the same court with the former president. Okay. So I believe it's very wrong and should be condemned by every African who's living in this land.
Well, yes. Again, it's a conversation that is ongoing, and as it stands, it's a conversation truly that is ongoing. And as it stands, there are conversations about the fact that he's doing this because, according to some quarters, he's only jittering because opposition seems to be gaining upper hand. Let me bring it back to the studio. Doctor, this is something that a lot of persons have been consistently talking about. The Saba protest on early days of July, got about 14 persons killed, even without the presidential order that they should shoot anybody who is trying to stop business and, of course, destroy businesses in the country. Let's look from the point of the economical part of it. When a business is when business is grounded down for a day in a country, and of course maybe in the capital city, the finances is visible. But let's talk also, aside the economic part of it, let's talk to the part of the order given by the president. What's your position in all of this, Doctor?
Well, that shows the state Africa is with regard to evolution. Understand? Those of us who are conversant with the American Constitution, First Amendment
Right.
gives you the right to protest. That's the American Constitution. First Amendment
Yes.
gives you the right to protest. I've never heard, as they say, as tough as Donald Trump is, he had never made this kind of a statement. Shoot. Understand me? I've never heard a British Prime Minister say shoot at anybody. So what Ruto did is to declare war on his people. That's exactly what and the power belongs to the people. Understand me? Okay. So for me, you have the right to protest. Understand?
Okay.
But I'm not in support of destroying
vandalizing properties and businesses,
because it is still state resources that will be used to repair those properties.
Right.
But for the president that to say shoot anybody, understand? Or the police will go and do overkill. Understand me?
I peg it on the statement of the president.
On the statement of the president. So that shows that this, to me, warrants the impeachment of the president. Because he's not supposed to utter this kind of a word.
Okay, now let's talk still. I'm still going to stay with you. Let's talk about the part of parliament in all of this. The parliaments haven't said anything since these statements was made yesterday. But then again, the judiciary as well are mum. Is this like Mr. Martins naturally would call it, is this a state capture or political capture on institutions? Or is this something that we're not even getting at all?
What is happening in Kenya is happening in every other country in Africa. Understand? The separation of powers is not working in any country in Africa. Understand?
What would you attribute to that?
I would call it that we are operating a kind of monarchical kind of government.
Okay.
Where the president represents the monarch. So every other thing revolves around him. So what they do is they compromise both the judiciary and the parliament.
Okay.
Understand me? So the parliament and the judiciary become just extension of the executive. So everybody watches
to the tune of the executive.
They watch the body and language of the president and act accordingly. So ordinarily, this kind of statement, even if Donald Trump makes this statement today, they will start impeachment proceedings on him.
Okay.
But this thing happens, it's a sign of desperation. It's a sign of jittery on the part of the president.
Interestingly, the president did mention that the people who are sponsoring these protesters are people who want to topple his government. Something you are very familiar with even across Nigeria here, where people who protested are being charged for treasonable felony. What do you think can be done by the people now if the legislatures have failed and of course the judiciary is not even helping?
Well, for me, those in the parliament should know that they are there representing the masses. Understand me? Okay. They are there representing the masses. They should be empathetic to the masses. Understand me? They are there as the mouthpiece of the masses.
Irrespective of their political affiliations?
Not the mouthpiece of the president. So they are to be working. Imagine what happened in South Korea when the president declared a martial law.
Yes.
The people revolted, and the parliament have to run back to the assembly to stop the martial law. Understand me? Okay. But it cannot happen in Africa because we are under bondage. We are caged by the emperor that we call our president.
What an interesting conversation. Well, let's go back to Uganda, where Barrister Edward is still with us. You heard the doctor here say that it's a monarchical kind of democracy that we all claim in Africa that we are having. But there is a conversation from your country about the general, I'm talking about the army chief, General Muhoozi, who has accused the U.S. state of secretly negotiating with Somalia-based jihadist group, the Al-Shabaab. From your position, do you think this is substantiative enough? Plus, as it stands, not the U.S. or even Somalia has responded presently. But from your position, do you think that there is some iota of truth following these kind of accusations? Because a man of that particular caliber should have major intel to have made such statements even in public. What's your position, Barrister?
In fact, I would respond by telling you the figure you are talking about doesn't show any kind of leadership. The figure you are talking about is a person who has been just given a plate to eat food. Is a child of the president, so he can utter any kind of a word. Muhoozi being a CDF, he does not carry any power. So I believe sometimes the words which come from General Muhoozi is the west of the country. He's actually digging a grave to Uganda. He's adding more graves to Uganda. I don't think, and I disassociate this time. In fact, I'm totally disassociating myself with such actual utterances. Because such a leader who should be respectful, who should be actually guiding, who should be actual example of young people in Africa can utter such words. I don't believe his words. This is a man repeatedly who has been seen in his space, in social media, throwing words like a person who has not gone to school. I don't see that. In fact, this discussion right now, we are starting it in Uganda to actually vet the kind of leaders we have. Uganda has failed because of the leadership. Uganda has failed because of actually now entering into borders. You see, Uganda is standing like a country, or leaders in Uganda. They are just like kings. They are eating in a house which is so comfortable. They don't care about what is in Africa. So looking at even the wars you see surrounding Uganda, South Sudan, Congo, all those things are sponsored. I tell you for sure, it comes from my mouth, not from your studio. Right. Uganda has a hand. So you need to take that from me, because I stay and I eat at home.
When you say Uganda had a, sorry to cut you there. When you say Uganda has a hand in what exactly are you referring to?
We are talking about, I'm just giving you an example of South Sudan.
Okay.
The war in South Sudan, the struggle, the civil wars in South Sudan. My president has been seen. The CDF has been seen negotiating on issues of South Sudan. Actually, you cannot enter in somebody's house where you are not actually invited. The so-called the military of Uganda are being seen in South Sudan. Recently, the CDF was talking of the Haiti, that they are the only top and the recognized army, which is very strong, that Kenya has failed. Those are statements you get in social media, that they are the only ones who can go to Haiti and cool the situation in Haiti. What kind of a special army is in Uganda? That is just recklessness, and we are saying the leadership is not in Uganda.
Now, I'm still going to stay with you. Is this statement from General Muhoozi coming from the brain of the fact that there also have been conversation or accusation, I beg your pardon, that the president of Uganda, I'm talking about Yoweri Museveni, is also having some kind of relationship with Russia?
Exactly. In fact, Russia is the base for Museveni. All the trainings of most of his militaries are done in Russia. And I'm telling you this, these are kind of, fears we have in Africa. We have this kind of fears when we talk of the monarchy kind of leadership we have in Africa. These are leaders who want to occupy leadership, and they fail to understand there is always time and there is also time for retirement.
Okay.
And they forget when you retire, where will you go? Because you'll have to remain at home.
All right. Well, I want to come back to the studio, but I would like to hear, Mr. Martins, your position with these unveiling facts about the involvement of the Ugandan army chief with some of the unrest in the likes of Sudan and the likes. What is your reaction to this in just 30 seconds, because we are pressed for time, really?
Edwin, all the way from Uganda. The general is what is doing is poking finger on Ryan's nose, and this is a consequence, because now attacking US, and you can see US as a hand of support to all African entity. It means that he is poking finger on a dangerous zone. Secondly, this man, as Barrister Edwin has said, he is a man whose mouth is oozing once without a second thought. We see yesterday he received back classes from the Kenyan citizen when he mentioned on the social media that this was said that the only person he support in Kenya is only General His Excellency the President William Ruto. And that is like a sarcasm, because he is like excited on what is happening in Kenya, on dictatorship, human rights denied, we can a capture of an institution suppressing the will of the people. These are figures or kind of people who are supporting the regime that is suppressing democracy, suppressing the will of people, trending on threat, and even operating on fear. So this is a person that he is just talking without referring to the expert, so that he can get the advisory on what to speak. You know, when you are up. That elite figure, when you speak a word, it goes not only to your republic or your neighbor, it goes even to the abroad or overseas countries, republics. That's so that this is not he is not respecting the rule, the will of the people, the human rights, and the water bill.
All right, then let me come to the studio while we wrap this up with Doctor. These very heavy accusation by the barrister in Uganda seem to be something that a lot of persons or some quarters have before now been talking about. But from your perspective, what can you say to all of this, and then what's the solution going forward?
Well, as I said, it's the stage of evolution that Africa is in. So the Ugandan general is supporting a federal authoritarian government. Understand? That's in Kenya.
Right.
Because what is happening in Kenya is not democracy, rather it's authoritarian. That's suppressing all the will of the people, which is happening in Uganda too. So he wants to kind of show support, so that in turn Ruto will also show support. Therefore, what is happening in Uganda shouldn't be an isolation.
Wow.
Understand me? So that's the important. Until we begin that to have leaders in Africa who can put their interests last and the interest of the people first. Understand? People like the former Burkina Faso head of state. Understand?
Right.
So those who believe in Africa for Africa, understand, and not Africa being a pawn for the Western world.
Well, I would have loved you to continue, Doctor, but unfortunately we're out of time. And I want to say thank you to all of these gentlemen who's joined us today to make sense of these stories. We've been talking with Dr. Peter Anosike, who is a Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and an economist by profession. And yes, all the way from Uganda, we're also talking with Barrister Edward Omatakie, who is a civil rights activist, human rights activist, a business associate, and of course a lawyer, and also all the way from Kenya virtually as well. We're talking with Mr. Martin Njue, who is a financial advisor, a public affairs analyst, and the CEO of Wealthgate Insurance Agencies. Once again, thank you so very much, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, then, the rest of the African news will continue with business and sports just after this quick break. Do stay with Glad to have you back at the Studio African News right here in Voice of the People TV. Now to some business stories. Botswana said it would allow its polar currency to depreciate by 2.76% over the next year, a faster rate than previously announced, as its economy is under pressure due to a prolonged downturn in the global diamond market. The Southern African country reviews its exchange rate twice a year, adjusting it upwards or downwards through a crawling band exchange rate regime, under which the polar is pegged to a basket of currencies, including the South African rand. Botswana has long been seen as one of Africa's economic success stories. However, that has been tested by the diamond market downturn, which caused gross domestic product to contract 3% last year and could trigger another contraction this year. According to a finance ministry official, Said Timuno, the recent decline in foreign exchange reserves further worsened by the current macroeconomic environment has the potential to compromise the stability of the exchange rate mechanism. Still talking business, the South African rand took a knock against a firmer dollar in early trade on Friday, as global markets explained and remained on edge over U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats. This morning, the rand traded at about 17.8550 against the dollar, about 0.7% weaker than Thursday's close, as traders shun riskier markets. The greenback last traded about 0.2% stronger against a basket of currencies. Domestically focused investors will keep close tabs on updates from the government as it tries to negotiate a trade deal before an extended deadline of August the 1st, after which it faces a 30% trade tariff on its exports to the United States. South Africa also faces an additional 10% tariff due to its membership of the BRICS group of developing nations, which Trump has described as anti-American. We're going to quick break right now. When we return, we'll be coming with you and for you the African sports. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. Let's wrap it up with some sporting stories. The Confederation of African Football has officially opened an investigation into the Algerian women's national team over alleged breaches of CAF statutes and regulations during the ongoing 2024 CAF Women's African Cup of Nations in Morocco. In a statement, CAF confirmed that the probe was initiated following reported violations linked to Algeria's conduct at the tournament. While the specific nature of the alleged offenses was not disclosed, it comes amid growing scrutiny surrounding Algeria's action off the pitch, including political tensions affecting the competition's atmosphere. According to the statement, CAF has opened an investigation against the Algerian women national team on alleged violation of the CAF statutes and regulations during the ongoing Women's African Cup of Nations. CAF added that it would not provide further comment until the investigation process is completed. However, the development emerges just days before Algeria face Nigeria Super Falcons in the crucial final group stage match. And with that sports story, we've come to the end of African News right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being a part of this broadcast. I am